Hi guys, joining you tonight from this beautiful location that I've been using to host some client intensives this week, and I wanted to share with you some of the insights I've been getting from working with my clients. So I'm loving the caliber of clients I'm attracting right now. Today I spent working with a woman who, I guess like a lot of the clients I am working with at the moment, she has that beautiful mix of being someone who's very empathetic, very socially intelligent and very much a people person, but also having that intellectual side, very much evidence-based, looking for strategic responses and how she can rationally logic her way through to answers. So the combination of the two is really powerful and what's made her effective in her previous jobs and now as a founder running her own company. So love that. And what I, and a lot of my clients have in common is that we often have these undeclared superpowers. So you may find this, that you are often someone who people come to for advice. They come to you to feel seen and heard. You're the go-to person where they're having problems or they need to vent. And that's great, and that means you're doing something right, that you're able to create that level of safety and trust that people want to do that for you. But if you are finding that that gift is starting to become a burden, then here are some things that you can think of. So just because you have a gift doesn't mean you always need to be giving of it freely. And like most gifts, you want to be using it responsibly. So if you are a people person or a helping person, you have that inclination to help others find solutions or to provide a solution for others, in order to avoid getting burnt out or feeling used or resentful when people always want to talk about their problems but don't listen to yours, or always come to you for advice but aren't able to help you when you need something, or actually you spend a lot of time with them and give them advice and strategies that they can use that they then don't implement, in order for you to feel like you're giving of your gift and it is being valued or is valuable to them, it's often going to be necessary to put some boundaries around it. So a sort of strong form of putting boundaries around something is professionalizing it. So that's something that I have done in becoming a coach, and more recently I now offer a therapy service as well to people who want to go on an even more deeper emotional level. But it's really doing what I was already doing naturally and professionalizing it. So when I was a manager, when I was working in an organization a few years ago, and I first discovered coaching, I found it was one of the areas that I really got to shine as a manager, was using my coaching skills in a management context. And I loved that. And even before I'd even discovered coaching, and even when I wasn't someone's manager, people were always coming to my office for advice, to vent, to unload, to ask for advice on how they could manage interpersonal conflicts in the office. And I was obviously doing something right because people were asking for my advice or wanted to talk to me about it. But I often felt like I couldn't have the impact I wanted because I wasn't empowered to do so. It wasn't really my job to be fixing office politics, sadly. So a kind of long-term strategy for me has been to professionalize that skill set. And that hasn't mean just deciding to call myself a coach. It's meant getting numerous certifications, training in the English language, training in German language courses, constantly working with my own coaches so that I can be up-leveling my own skills. So that's been a long process over a course of years to develop my skills so I feel very confident in charging for what I do. But it all came from the decision mentally to take my abilities seriously and to become the most able coach that I could be. And while you may not want to charge for what you're doing right now, you might not want to put a kind of financial boundary between you and the people that you're talking to, it might be worth checking with them how seriously they're taking the problem that they're bringing to you. So if you're noticing that people or certain individuals are coming to you again and again with the same problem, and you listen to them and you give them solutions and there's always a yeah but, or you give them an answer that you think could really help them and they don't do anything with that answer, there's no need to get angry with them. But you might want to check in with them. Have they considered getting some professional support with this? Would they be open to that? And it doesn't have to come from you, they don't have to pay you, but are they interested in getting some formalised support for this, what seems to be a problem, because they're coming to you with this issue repeatedly. And if they're not, it could be that they're actually not that serious about solving the problem, because actually what they more want is the opportunity to be seen and heard and to connect with you, which is not a bad thing, and you may still want to keep doing that with them. Or often it's the case that when people are coming to you with a problem repeatedly and you give them an answer and there's a yeah but, or you invite them to get more support and they don't take that opportunity, it's often because actually deep down they know what they have to do but they don't want to do it just yet. So again, that's fine, we don't need to judge them for that, but you can then manage your own expectations about what's going to happen if you give them advice. They might not act on it, and that's okay, but it helps you decide how much you want to invest in them finding a solution if they are themselves not prepared to invest in getting formal help with it. You also might want to think about setting emotional and energetic boundaries about how you help them. So whether or not you want to formalize that skill set and become a paid coach or mentor or counselor, either for your profession or on the side of your job, even if you don't want to take that step, you might want to ask them if they want to formalize how they're asking for help from you. So if they're sending you lots of WhatsApp messages or calling you at sort of all times of the day and night, or just coming to your office and interrupting things, then is there a way that you can put time boundaries around how and when they speak to you? So maybe there's something around saying, wow, I can see this is really important to you and I want to support you with this. Would you like us to put aside some time to talk about this properly? Because I want to make sure that I'm all ears and giving 100% attention to you. So even just putting that time boundary around them seeking help allows you and them to decide if there's something that they want to take seriously. And if not, you can treat it accordingly. So those are some advice tips that I would give with you today. And I would also say that whenever you're finding there's some kind of fuzzy boundary going on, you'll often find that there are some nasty side effects to that. So I found this myself, that my natural tendency to get or to have people tell me their deep emotional problems or challenges or traumas, people would, even before I had trained in therapy or before I was a coach, people would just do this. And I always saw that as a privilege. I always felt very lucky that people felt they could trust me in that way. But it sometimes led to some boundary issues where people would then expect things from me because they had revealed things to me. Sometimes it made dynamics with men a little bit awkward, where they would volunteer very personal things about themselves very quickly, and had essentially been very emotionally intimate with me, and that would sometimes get confusing about what that meant. So whenever you're noticing there's some kind of fuzzy boundary, you'll probably find there's some kind of friction or disruption happening where there's a mismatch in expectations. Sometimes people get a little bit resentful if you then can't keep offering them that level of support all the time, or sometimes you have to say no because you're unavailable, perhaps because for once actually it's you're the one with the problem. So if you're noticing some kind of friction or bad taste in your mouth, either you're feeling a bit frustrated that they're not taking the advice that you give them seriously, or they are then expecting things from you that you think, hang on a minute, that doesn't feel quite right that you're expecting that from me, that's a sign that there's some kind of boundary confusion. And the good news is whenever there's a boundary confusion, there's normally always an opportunity. It generally means that there's something that you have to offer that you haven't yet fully declared to the world that you can offer in a formal way. So they're kind of getting it in a secret, covert, under the radar way. And that's a really good alarm for you to think, aha, there's obviously something that I'm giving to people that's valuable. Do I want to value it? Do I want to put a boundary around it? Do I want to invest in that skill? Either for my own satisfaction that I can help people more in the way that they're currently coming to me, or in a way that I can even make this a career if that's what feels good to me. So whenever there's a boundary kind of friction or weird energy around boundaries, it's normally because there's an opportunity for growth there. And for me, that led me to go from a manager with a coaching management style to becoming a coach. And then as a coach who was often working on very deeply emotional issues, sometimes to do with trauma, near-death experiences, sexual abuse, deaths in the family, a lot of these things would come up in my coaching work with people. And while I always felt that I was in integrity about helping people within the degree of my coaching skill set, I felt that I wanted to go further. And sometimes my clients would ask me, is it okay to talk about this? Or is this now becoming more like a therapy session than a coaching session? And so I took that on board. I was getting feedback that there was a boundary issue, and that normally means there's an opportunity for growth. I had outgrown the label of just a coach, and I could see that I was doing work that was, missed call. Someone calling me to ask for some advice, by the look of it, when I saw who just called me. But what I would say about that is whenever you see there's a boundary issue, then focus on the opportunity for growth. And for me, I was being called to go to a higher level with my ability to help people in a therapeutic way. So again, I took that seriously. People were coming to me for the kind of stuff that would often be dealt with in a therapeutic context. That's not a problem as long as I'm responsible about how I deal with that. So for me, that meant training in a therapeutic modality. So since last year, I've been offering something called rapid transformational therapy, which is a form of hypnosis, which helps people really get to the root cause of mindset issues, emotional blocks, and trapped trauma. And so that's allowing me to have a sort of defined and rigorous toolkit to help people with some of those stubborn mindset or emotional or trauma-ridden issues where coaching alone might not always be the right forum for them to get full closure and release around those emotionally charged issues. So So again, I saw this not as a problem, but as a sign that there was more growth for me. So that's what I would encourage you to do if you're also finding some interesting boundary issues or feedback or a little bit of weirdness around your gifts. I hope that helps, and I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Bye.